I'm talking to you, the all-seeing Oracle Bible. Kids, get ready for a scary ride. You thought your world was a scary ride so far, 16 billion years of a scary ride. Well, it started with a bang. It's ending with a bang. Now, Bob, your sensei Kriad will be telling you a story this afternoon, sometime between noon and 1, and then again sometime between 8 and 9. And he will tell you in the next 40 shows about the end of the scary ride. Hold on to your pubic hair. We're going to love watching you scream and suffer. All of you people who are ruled by fear. You thought you were terrified. Well, just wait and see. Everyone who wants to blame someone else who you're going to see who's really to blame. You are. Just manipulate you. We control your bank, we control your food, we control your air and water. That drives you insane, but we just watch. We are the all-seeing eye. And now, there are a lot of people who are trying to say they know. But Sensei Bob, what does he say? Don't believe a word I say. Right? But his stories unlock in your subconscious the truth of your lives, who you are, the dualities, the stupidities, the suffering that you inflict on us, the suffering you feel yourself. We love it. We love watching you suffer. That's what we are. That's all we do. We are dimensional vipers. We are like the tapeworm in your brain. Good luck with that. Well, tune in to Sensei Bob.
Good morning, good evening. Wherever you are.
He's a lucky bastard. He's never out for himself. He's just there to try and help you. He never gives up. He never gives in. And he's never mean. Oh, what a chump.
Yep, that's me. You're chumpy Bob. I'm here to tell you a story. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome to Dreamy Dreamland. And here it is, the 27th, I think it is. And there's wars all over the place. There's famine, there's ecological disasters. It's all one big mess, right? Having fun? Most people don't escape their own torment. I mean, we all go through it, even me. But, I stay in prayer, conscious intent I am, conscious intent I am, conscious intent I am. Conscious aware I am, conscious aware I am, conscious aware I am. So everything I do, I put a shamanic intent to it. That's this show. And everything around me, I am consciously aware. I see that more coming at me, right? So I kind of, put a little bubble around me of shamanic protection. God, last night, I was in the man cave reading the Bible, and because I had earlier that afternoon, Colonel Sanders' father, Grandpa Cockroach, showed up from Florida. And I don't think they call them cockroaches down in Florida. They call them something else. Big bugs, So I came back from running errands yesterday, and around 4 o'clock I came, and I found Grandpa Cockroach sitting in my driveway, like blocking it, right? So, I started to back up into there. Wait a minute, wait, don't run me over. Well, his son does it all the time to me. Almost kills me every time he drives by. But I was going to run him over. So, he's like, oh, right. So he got out of the way, right? And I parked my car, and then, got out of a chair and sat down next to him, started talking to him. And his grandson. And the kids are really, interesting because they're smart. They got a lot on the ball, but their environment is like, growing up in a toxic waste dump. But that's America, you know. We're the richest nation in the world. We spend more money on healthcare, but we're like, our healthcare is worse than Zimbabwe's. And why is that? And I was part of a Brookings crew that started looking at that in the early 90s. And we kind of came up with it. It was basically stress that everyone has to worry about everything. There's nothing like, why does Sweden, Norway, Denmark, France, Germany, Italy, Spain, pretty much everybody in the EU, why do they have so much better healthcare than we do? Why? Because they all have single payer. They don't have to worry about paying their healthcare, right? They don't have to worry about their job getting fired. They don't have to worry about their retirement. They don't have to worry about the food they eat. All of Europe, EU does not buy any food from us because our food is poison. Right? So we eat that crap. We breathe that air. We, right around me, I've been living in a garden paradise for the last 20 years. But since the COVID and the cockroaches from California, Texas, Florida, Charlotte, North Carolina, and New Jersey and New York have all come up here, right? Following the path of the other cockroaches who, decimated places like Boone and Banner Elk and, every, what's the other one? Blowing Rock and Lenore. These were all beautiful little towns. When I first cruised through here when I was at Duke in 68, 69, and I would come up here and camp, it was unbelievably gorgeous, right? But everything's dying, right? And the Blue Ridge Mountain has more medicinal herbs than any place in the world, more than the rainforests of Africa. And, well, there aren't any more rainforests of Africa anymore. We've decimated them in the last 15 years just so we can plant palm oil. Right? So, and we are at this very interesting little point, so the war in Ukraine is basically a war in Europe, right? And it's a war to decimate China and Russia, right? So why isn't China helping out Russia, except going there and shaking the guy's hand, saying, "Yeah, we like this guy," because they're already dead men walking, and Russia is too, because they blew their shot of the last 30 years of becoming an industrial power. They're a third world country. All they do is sell their raw materials. They don't, making profit at something is by taking raw materials and turning it into a high-end product, right? The United States does it the best than anybody else, right? And we, create the most high-end products. And what are those but weapons, right? We make more money at weapons than anything else. That's why we have to keep having wars, right? Never-ending wars, to keep the assembly line going and making a profit. And that's what good old Ike told us just, hours before JFK was going to be sworn in, right? Watch out for the military-industrial complex. But he left out. He should have said, watch out for the military, and military, because that's really what it is. And if you read Noam Chomsky's book, Manufacturing Consent, you see it right off the bat. If you read, what's his Quigley's book? He was a historian. He was the smartest guy in the brain trust of the CFR, right? And he wrote a great book called Hope and Tragedy, right? And laid it all out. And he basically gave a tip of the hat to H.G. Wells' book, the history of the world. That was written in the 20s, right? And then the last sci-fi thing that H.G. Wells wrote was Things to Come. So go read those two books. Write up what it is, right? And that's where Gene Roddenberry got the idea for Star Trek and the Federation, right? The Federation is just a big fascist organization, right? Where you do exactly, you don't own anything. You got that nice apartment, the Federation gave you. A job you got, the Federation gave you, right? This, Federation, right? For that, Federation. So all great, right? Education, blah, blah, blah. You do, you're zipping around the stars, investigating things. Oh, that's exciting. But you're missing the point. And see, that's it. So the drunks last night, when they're going on, quoted, scriptures, and the guy was going, "Oh, the world sucks. We're all going, humans are terrible." Well, you are, because you're a drunk. Stop drinking. You'll be a better person. I said, you have a good side. And I kept telling him about his good side, all of them. But they were so drunk. It was really dark. And they were like just stumbling around. So I went over. The guy gets all up there. Don't park in the road. Don't park. He was parked in the road. And he had his speaker up. And he was, it was screaming, boogaloo, disco rap music. And it was being sung by black guys, obviously. And he goes, "These guys are great." He said, "But they're black." "Oh, no, they're Christian." And every third word out of their mouth was bitch, whore, abuse. I mean, everything, right? But they're going back, I hate Biden, right? So, no, these guys are great. They're heroes. I said, "Oh, really? Okay." So it's going on and on. So I start dancing. These guys can't dance. And they're fat white guys. And I am just twirling around. And this fat guy's got his oldest girl with him, his daughter, and she's hanging out with these three drunks. And I'm dancing. And she's looking at me like, well, like I can dance. But, bon dia, right? Bon dia. I love it. My friend Ricardo was from Brazil. And how is Brazil doing? And when I was in Brazil in 1988-ish, 89. And do you know Buzios? Brazil, Rio de Janeiro. Yep, Rio. So Carnival. So Carnival's going on now. How's Carnival doing? Have you ever gone to Buzios? There's a, I don't know what to call it now, but there was a really schmancy, fancy disco I built there called Rick's, and I was Mr. Rick, Dr. Rick, doctor, right? Because all the fancy people who were in that town were Nazis, and they were all doctors. So I was given the noon diploma. That's why I became the doctor, right? I've been the doctor many times. So anyway, so here we are, 13 minutes and 35 seconds. Good morning, good evening. Ricardo, give me a subject you want to talk about. That may, you coming from Brazil, you may give a perspective, because Brazil really does represent an amazing. So I was sitting in my abandoned building in the Lower East Side, and my phone rang, and my phone was like, you're not supposed to be able to get a phone in an abandoned building, a burned out abandoned building, but I did, right? And so I knew a phone guy. He put in the request, and the closest box that actually worked was like, a mile and a half away. So we ran the wire like over buildings and just, right. And he got tired. So he like gave me a ton of stuff. He goes, "Here, you finish the job." So I had this night, and I was lying on this really comfy couch that I found that somebody threw out up on Park Avenue because the legs broke off. And I found a bed frame, and I kind of made the bed frame smaller and stuck this really comfy couch on top of it. It's great, right? And a TV, color TV that I found in the garbage, I put up on the ceiling so that people couldn't steal it. And so I'm like, watching TV, and the phone rings. I pick it up, and this guy with an accent. Goes, you, Bob? I said, yeah, the builder of Discos of New York. And I said, yep, all of them. Yep, that's me. What do you want? I said, well, do you know so and so? And I go, click, ring, ring, ring. No, 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 no. I just got the phone number for you from him, and he's in Brazil. And click, and don't hang up on me. I said, well, that guy owes me $500. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to get his butt out of jail. I don't want to do anything. We'll have to shoot him. And he goes, we plan to. We'll do it very painfully if you want. I said, no, 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 no. So what are you talking to me for? And he goes, well, we have a proposition that will be very, very profitable to you. We want you to come to Brazil and build us a disco in Buzios. So, Ricardo, do you know Buzios? It's about 200 miles north of Rio, right on the coast. It's a peninsula that sits out there in the Atlantic, and it's a place where all the Eurotrash go. It's got a big hospital that is there to change people's how they look, like basically plastic surgery. But they go even deeper. I mean, these people were fooling around with changing their DNA, right? This was like a sci-fi movie, and it was covered by being a kind of fun house for the Eurotrash, right? You know what I'm talking about? Buzios, Brazil, Ricardo. Yeah. So anyway, I went there, and the lady who ran the place was like Jabba the Hutt, just this glob of a woman, and anyway, the guy who picked me up at the airport was her her lawyer, and he was like Fantasy Island, Mr. Roy, right? And he had his own little midget guy, who was blind, and he was the chauffeur. I mean, it was just the moment I landed in Rio at the airport, because I got off the airplane, I was going through customs, and these guys with guns came by and said, "Come with us," right? And so I went with them, and I've been a world traveler enough to, if I'm going someplace, I'm going to stay there a while. Or if I leave the country, I only have my go bag. I don't bring anything because the airplane will just lose it or steal it or whatever. And wherever you are, you can get whatever you need cheaper than you could buy it back in New York and then transport it all to wherever you're going, which is probably where it's made in the beginning. So, um, so I went with those guys. They put me in a room. Then this guy with a really nice suit shows up and I talked to you on the phone. I said, oh. And I said, so you couldn't meet me on the other? No, no. This is like the diplomatic section. You're a diplomat. That's how we are putting the stamp on your passport. So no one will bother you. So you had to come through this to get the stamp. I said, okay, whatever. But they had already paid me like 10 grand. They would put 10, to show our sincerity and earnestness of wanting you here. You're going to find tomorrow when you go down to your bank 10 grand in your account. And whether you get on the airplane or not, we're just doing that to show. So every time I've tried to have business and I talk to people about earnest money, they have no idea. They have no idea about respect. Like, Grandpa Cockroach and Colonel Sanders. No, right? That's right. About 5 or 6 people who were interested in my place. And I said, first person put up some earnest money. And the guy goes, what's that? I said, earnest money is the money that you put up before you go into contract just to show you want to buy the thing, right? And it is, if the contract doesn't go through, you don't get the earnest money. He goes, no, that's a down payment. I said, no, that's not earnest money. Earnest money, the other is the money you put in escrow, right? And he was like, well, I'm a real estate man. I don't know what you're talking about. I said, okay, good luck. So we get driven all the way. We go up the highway along the coast, and we're in this Mercedes limousine that's like built like a 10 with lines of trucks, and instead of being behind it, he'd be zipping up there. Just you get top of the thing, a truck would come over and he would sing right between trucks. It was like, and the guy's back there, like, he's favelas and having capa caprinas and smoking back there. He said, you want something? It's like, I'll try it. And capa caprina is like, whoa. It's like drinking rocket fuel. Very tasty, too. And they were flabellas, so it's little pies, savory pies were very yummy. So anyway, we're flying down the thing, and he's going on, and he shows me like a map of the little peninsula that is Buzios, and coming off the highway, you come down this hill, there's farms over here, and then you come down around, and then there's the coast, and then you kind of go into town, and you come around, and there's the fishing town, and you come up this other side that used to be kind of vineyards, and I guess it still was, but it kind of was the hill, and then down big long beach, and it was by the thing it looked like you really couldn't get on that beach. And I said, so along this beach, that's a big long beach, and we developed that. He goes, no, that's what you're going to be the anchor. You're going to build this nightclub. Fantastic. Me, right? Okay. So we're flying in, and we get up that thing. We come down, and when we come around the farmlands, and there's a fork, and there's this road that goes into the town along the coast, and all these like very nice, beautiful beach, and all these like restaurants and nightclubs and stores and hotels along the beach. Very pretty. And all the roads are cobblestone, but really nice. Mm. So come on, you got to know about Buzios, right? So anyway, we hit this fork and we go up this road, and we go up, and there's just kind of overlooking the town this big white building. It's a hospital, right? And around it are other, not as big buildings, but other parts of this hospital. And we keep going up, and then there are these fancy like villas, right? And it goes to the top and has this great view of the ocean and the town below, and the fishing village over there, and we keep going up to the top, and it's like a castle. It's like straight out of Star Wars, the Jedi strikes, comes back, and and we go in there, and the lawyer goes, and we're going to meet the madame, and do not look her straight in the eye, right? And so we go into this big ballroom, and it's like a castle, and this is like the throne room, and there's the courtiers, all these people milling around. It's straight out of that movie, and they're all talking all different kinds of languages, and this ear is like kind of picking it up, and so so all I can do is stare at her because she's just a glob, right? And like I said, she looks just like Jabba the Hutt. And so I look right at her, and she looks at me, and I look at her. Our eyes meet, and Rabola. Right. So anyway, so I go, my God, what are you? And she starts to laugh. And before she laughs, everyone's like, oh, he's dead. And she starts laughing. She goes, I like you. Right? It's a very strange accented, like almost Nazi, but very fala Portuguese, right? So anyway, so she says to the lawyer in Portuguese, go show him where he's going to live, give him the 411, and we'll get started tomorrow. And I kind of picked up because I can, with this ear, if people are talking, I can kind of read it. I can read things, but I have to take it like to Latin. There's always Latin and Hebrew roots in everything. Once you do that, you can figure out the word, right? So anyway, that's etymology, right? So anyway, so he takes me, we get back in the limo, we drive back down through town. He goes, that's my my office, my nightclub, my restaurant. I live upstairs, so that's where I am, right? So we pull into the fishing village, and we kind of go through that. We come to a nice house right on the edge of the water, and on this side of the property, there's all the netting and all the stuff that fishermen have, and they have all these places where they are drying out the fish and salting the fish, and they have you know a marina, a deck, a place to tie up their boat, and so you know, I go to the lawyer, and people are starting, we get there, and this old lady's kind of crying, and the people are moving the stuff out of the house. And it's a nice house, right? Nicer than most of the other favelas um, that were in a fishing village. And I basically go, "What's going on?" And the lawyer says, "Well, I'm moving these people out so you can live in here. This is a nice house. It's up to your standard." I said, "Where are they going to live?" And he says, "Over there. That's a fishing shack." I said, "But there's like 10 of them." And I said, "Let's go down. Let's see where." So we walk down there, and this girl comes, and she goes, "Are you the man to make the disco?" I said, "Yes." "They tell me you're a doctor." "What kind of doctor are you?" I said, "She was awful young for a doctor." Anyway, she's going on like that. And he introduced me. "This is Maria. She's my assistant. And she runs everything at the restaurant. So you need anything, talk to her." I said, "So what's going on here, Maria?" And she goes, "Well, doctor has moved us. This is his everything, and we have to move in tonight." I said, "How many are you?" There's about 18 of us. I said, "What?" I said, "Well, not everyone's here. After people are out there in the boats." "What?" And I said, "Let's look at this thing." So they're just like taking the stuff out of it. They haven't moved it down there, right? So I go down there, and there are a couple of people in there, a couple of girls and a couple of guys cleaning it up. But it's a very nice place. It's about 1,000 square feet, big space, and there's a little bathroom over there, and a kitchen over here, and these big doors that open up into a big deck that's covered, and it's really beautiful, right? So, and there's a bedroom and another room, right? But even though they're got walls around them, they're part of the big room, right? There's no real door. There's kind of things that close over it, but they're not big on doors. So anyway, I kind of go, this will be fine for me. "Maria, tell your family to move back in the house. Just, I need a table, a couple of chairs, and a bed. That's all." And she goes, "Oh, senor," just goes nuts about it, right? And so the lawyer guy goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "I like this place. I don't want to live in that other thing. Put down, that's their house. I'm here. If I'm going to do this job, I have to have the goodwill of the people. These people seem like they're the top of the notch of the working folk here. Right? This girl, she's your protege, and I want everything to be." He goes, "Well, that kind of makes sense in a strange way. I mean, I guess you're going to do this the way you're going to do it." I said, "That's right. I'm going to do it the way you would do it, or the way Jabba the Hutt would do it." I kept calling her Jabba the Hutt, and he knew what I was talking about. And he goes, "You're either going to be very well received there, or you'll be dead." I said, "I hear that a lot, So, I moved in that place, and it's really nice. And they fitted up nice, gave me a really nice bed, and 4-poster, brass bed with a really brand new spanking, you know.
Do you need anything else?
Top that up. Do you have any lids, or did you run out of lids?
No, I've got lids.
Okay, so lid me up. Right. So her brother, so he's like fixing everything up, right? And he's showing me a shower. And so all the water came from the air, meaning they had no pipes in the ground. They had a cistern right on top of the hill over there, right? So, thank you, Chief. And so I'm basically, you know, happy as a clam. So this guy, I said, "Do you ever watch Fantasy Island?" He said, "Oh, I've seen that." He said, tattoo. You're going to be my tattoo. Really? Yeah, you're going to be my protege. You're going to be, because I need a guy. I mean, you speak English, you speak Portuguese, I speak German, I speak French. I said, whoa. She said, my sister, she's the smart one. I said, you're pretty smart too. So just keep your eyes open, always have my back. And this guy was like a pit bull for me, right? And one time we were in Rio, going through places looking, Spirit Eye, great to see you again. Yep, here I am. Good to see you, Spirit. Yeah. And anybody want to get a hold of me, at the dudewake42 at gmail, dudewake42 at gmail, right? And I don't know what's happened to my PayPal. They want me to do like re-up or whatever. And so they want me to sign up for all kinds of, you need to do that. I have to find a new platform. So I will figure that out, but I'm doing fine. I live like a millionaire on $400 a month. And you have nothing. You have nothing to lose. So, we, have a nice evening, and they bring me this nice tray of fruit and little favelas, right? And so, I kind of put my clothes over the the chair, and I go to sleep. I had a hard day. I've been up a week, since I got on a plane in New York. I haven't slept for about 16 hours. So, okay. And so I go to sleep. Man, the ocean breeze, and they put up netting everywhere, and I had a fan. It was quite nice. And so when I woke up, my clothes were gone, and in their place was linen pants, silk shirt, and a linen jacket. I mean, I looked like Mr. York, and a kind of pork pie, the kind of interesting hat made out of palm fronds, right? It's like, and they made these really sweet leather sandals, and the bottoms were tires, right? Just perfect. Everything fit me perfectly. And I was still, I was a big boy by then. I was in my mid 30s, so I was weighing maybe 210, 220. And I hadn't got into Gorgo size, and I was still in pretty good shape, right? I'm still working a lot in New York and carrying this, lift that base, toast up bar, right? And so I put it on, and boy, this is beautiful breakfast waiting for a nice omelet. And again, more favelas and more fruit. And the assistant, the protege to the lawyer, she comes in, and she's got a nice dress on, and she's barefoot, but she's got her high heels in her fingers. She's well, I'm going up to work, and the lawyer told me to say, whatever you're doing, you should come and have lunch with him at 2. Right? I said, okay. I said, that place right along the main gig where there's that little kind of park, and it's the big glass front. I said, yep, that's ours. And I said, okay, I'll be there. And her brother walks in, and he is dressed almost like me, but he's not. But he has an outfit that almost, and so he's my tattoo, right? That's tattoo. I forget what his name was. I just called him Tattoo. Anyway, so he was so proud, and so we he goes, yeah, I know how to drive. You know how to drive in Brazil? I said, yeah, it's just the other side, right? So not a problem. I can drive here. So we go out there, and there is the police chief waiting. He's been waiting, right? He didn't come in. He was waiting, right? And he goes, Doctor, you're going to build Madame's great palace. I said, yeah, I guess so. And he's speaking English. And he goes, well, I'm the police chief, right? And he's a big guy. I'm a big guy. And he hands me a gun. And he goes, big man needs a gun. I said, no, I don't. I don't need a gun. He goes, no, this is a dangerous town, I said, you're the chief police, right? He goes, yep. And I look, and I see there's 3 police cars, about 4 policemen, and him. And I said, Why do I need a gun when I have you? You work for the madame, and I'm her asset, so you're here to protect it. Isn't that correct? He goes, it's my boy. Oh, so, doctor, smart. He starts calling like doctor, boy, man. Because everyone to him, because he was chief police, was like, right. So, but now I'm kind of, you're my new friend. You're my new best friend. I said, that's right, chief. Right. You know, what was his name? It'll pop into my mind. But I called him chief. He liked that. So he gave me a police car, like one of the newer ones, right? And it was like a Brazilian made, Volkswagen kind of police car. And it was obviously a police car, but it wasn't like painted all policiness. It was more like, a nondescript police car. But you could, I mean, it had lights and it had little antennas. And so I had a radio. I could, hey, I want to speak to the chief, right? So, I got in the car and the chief got the car and we took a little tour all around everywhere in that place. And, we went to every little, neighborhood and little village and town in that big 200 square mile peninsula. And, we stopped, talked to everybody. This is Madame's, you've heard of him. He's coming to build the villa, the pleasure villa, right? That's what they called it, on the beach. And I said, okay. So I went on, had this little tour, and it was great because I was getting the seal of approval. I'm like, don't mess with this guy or you're going to get killed by the chief, right? He's just an asset. He's so, and tattoo was, chief, me, tattoo, right? And so we meet all these people, and he's saying, oh, this guy is a good he's a good carpenter, he's a good stonemason, this guy does this, he does that. And so I met all the people who would probably be working on this project, right? And so I said, I'm going to come back and talk to you, okay? And I had tattooed to translate. They didn't understand English. Most people did. It's a big touristy kind of villa, so people and not they follow Portuguese more than anything, but they kind of understood. But I was picking up Portuguese. Like I said, if I hear it, I can grok it, right? And I had tattoo. He was the best, right? So we were a team, and his sister, the three, and we were backed up by the chief of police and the lawyer. And so, so we go to where they want to, build this thing. And it's a cliff, a good 1,500 feet, down. Foresty kind of cliff, but still a cliff. And I said, how are you going to get down there? And he goes, well, we're going to drive around this other side. And there is a little road, right? And I said, okay. So we drive around there, and there is a little road, but it's more like for a motorcycle or a bicycle, not for trucks or anything big. And it itself is quite steep. So I said, okay, sounds good to me. So he goes, but we'll build a road right away. I said, okay. I don't see any big equipment. He goes, no, we'll build a road right away. I said, okay. So I, he takes me to this guy who's like a logger. I guess he's the excavator, right? And, we start, between the chief, me, and Tattoo, and we have this nice little top plat of what it is. Hey, Ed, good to see you, bud. Welcome aboard. And so we get in the police car and drive over there, and we're, it's a 3-mile bit of the road that goes along that beach, and then it kind of comes up the hill. I said, so somewhere along here, we're going to put the road, right? And I would say as close, and I said, I don't want any switchbacks. I just want a nice thing that shows a really great view of the sea and go all the way down, and then maybe one switchback at the end to come back to where this is. And I would say, this is because you want to develop this whole beach, let's take it to at least halfway middle of the beach, and then build a road along the upper side of the beach. So whatever you guys going to do later on, you got this road, you got the way down it, you can take the road going the other way. And the guy goes, so, we drive him back. We go into town and drop the chief off at his police station, and it's about 2 o'clock, and me and Tattoo go into the lawyer's. We meet his sister, and it's a real Brazilian place. The guys are in the gaucho pants, and they got the meat, every kind of meat you kind of think of, sword, and they kind of do this, and they have this great buffet, and it's about 2 o'clock, and this is when like dinner starts. They've already had breakfast, they already had lunch. Now this is dinner, and supper's way at the other end. But we're the first one there. They don't let the people in yet, so we're sitting at the lawyer's beautiful dining room, and there's mezzanines, 3 of them, and he has one way over here that has a great view straight down the main road to where the beach is, and it's a really nice image. And so I'm chewing on the meat. I had teeth then, and really great food. And we're talking, and I had the map, and I said, "So this is kind of what we're doing." He said, "Oh, that's really good." So he goes, "I want you to." So we have this very nice lunch. His protege, Tattoo's sister, shows up, and he goes, so she's going to be working with the paperwork, and so you've got an office here, right? And so takes me, we finish the meal, we go into his office, was like he's got all kinds of people typing and everything, and we go back to where his place is, and there's this big veranda, right? It kind of goes around the back of the building, and there's this very nice stone steps that come down. We go down there. It's kind of where his car is parked and all that, right? And there's a big gate on the side of the building to get him there, right? So he gives me a little fob. He goes, so when you pull around, you'll see you can come in over there. This opens the gate. You drive in, and he says, "And this is yours." And there's this beautiful apartment / office, because that's where you'll be doing all your work. When you need a place in town, this is it. If you don't want to go back, it's okay. That was very nice. I mean, again, nice bedroom, nice big, what they call the main room, kitchen, bathroom, nice. I mean, a lot more. I mean, I liked my little fishing shack, but this was high end. It was right in town, and he says you can just go to the stairs along that veranda. At the very end, goes in the kitchen. Just go. You're going to meet everybody there, so you can just go in there 24/7. They'll make you whatever you want to eat, right? So I mean, it's just, and there was nothing. I could not spend any money I had in that place. I go into a store, go into a bar, go into a club, go into a place to get socks, whatever. My money was not, not good, right? So okay. So this is doing pretty good. So he and I are like looking at this top thing, and I'm working on it, and then he goes, "We're going to tomorrow. We're going to go. You can stay here tonight." And Tattoo had his little own, little like maid's room. He could stick. I mean, Tattoo was really grooving on being my assistant, and so we go back. I need like restaurant supplies, bar supplies, disco supplies, sound systems, bands, you name it. So he brought me and showed me Rio, the really nice side and the really kind of side. And so we came back about a week later, and we go over to where the thing is. The road is done. Not so much done, but done in that the little path, they turned that into a real road, right? And the one that I'd laid out, it went nicely down the side of the hill, and then made a nice little switch back, and then went all the way back up the thing. Well, they had cleared it all out, leveled it beautifully, drained it, had culverts, you name it, they did it. And they were starting to, instead of covering it over in blacktop, everything was, stone, cobblestone. And they had big piles of stone, and there were guys with a chink, 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 and they put it in there. Chink, and, they didn't get the cobblestones from the factory. They were making them right there to fit perfectly. Right? And it was amazing because they had crushed their version of crushed one underneath that they were setting the cobblestones in. So when it rained, which it rained all the time there, they didn't need drains anyway. The water went between the stones, it went into there, and yes, it went through the ground and went to where the culvert was and took it off so it didn't rip up anything, right? And they did that in a week without any equipment. Got there and there's like, 200 guys there, and all the wood, because a good deal of it was, interesting hardwood. So they had collected it and moved it down to where we were going to build the palace, right? So it was these guys like read my mind because when I kind of looked at it, I said, "Well, this is mahogany. Boy, this is good stuff." So they didn't burn it up or like people here would do. They basically stacked it very nicely to be used later on in the construction, right? So I'm talking to the guy, and this guy is right. And so he goes, okay, so this will be done in about a week, right? Totally done, right? And the other road that we're going to bring stuff in, that's already ready to go. Truck in whatever we're going to truck in. And I said, so I see you're using cobblestone. I see you're using indigenous materials here. You guys have concrete, you have asphalt, you have. He says, well, it's very expensive. And we have to truck it in almost from Rio. We do have concrete. I mean, I have a concrete mixer. Whatever concrete we need to make footings or we need to make anything like that. Okay, good. So I said we're going to need a base of operation, right? So I said, you got any sticks and flags? Oh, to lay out the I said, yeah, to lay it out, lay out the bones, right? So we did, right? And he hadn't cleaned, I said, we talked, the lawyer, me, we talked, and the lawyer was taking pictures, right, of everything. And so he could take it back to the madam. And I said, we put it here. This is right where it does this. So it's going to give an amazing view of the whole ocean, but it will be like a cove, right? So it'll be semi-protected. Because I'd already been there almost 3 weeks, and the weather and they would have these storms that would just blow through and then blow out. Be really pretty in the morning, nice in the afternoon, 4 o'clock, and be like a hurricane, and then 2 hours later, it's sunny again. So I said, this will protect us because it comes. This is the lee side. This is that's where the storms come in this way. This is the most protected side. And every time I would do something like that, the guy would, the surveyor slash excavator slash everything, he was like, okay, I said, very good, I like that. So we laid it out. I said, so we need this is all level, right? And what you did to that road, I want you to do that. But don't put the cobblestones down yet, because that'll be our floor for this place. But as we're building it, level it off, put a bunch of that stone, whatever you call that stone. I call it crushed run. You call it whatever you call it, and put down 4 inches thick, right? Yeah. And we will put footings around that, and it was about a 20,000 square foot, right? So we did. Right, I went away and we put the little sticks in the ground. I didn't have to explain what kind of footings, how big, he did it. Right? So again, I went back up and I started hanging out in the front of, the lawyers. He had this, like I said, a nice little park in the middle of the thing that his whole building was around. And he had 3 restaurants, and he had this one restaurant that the tourists and everybody could go there for their morning coffee or whatever they want. I mean, it was open almost 24/7, and super beautiful food and beautiful everything, and everyone could afford it, right? So I had my table, nice tree, right? and thing, so when it rained, I wouldn't get wet. And so that's where I hung out, right? And and these guys had the internet. It's like, this is the late '80s, right? I left I left New York in '88, so this is maybe '87. And so they had the internet. That was like blew my mind. And so his assistant would come out, and she liked it out there. And because I set up camp out there, she set up her own camp because she wasn't his secretary. She ran everything. Right? So they needed her, and they would just come down to her. So we'd sit there and talk about everything. She's really well read and really. And Tattoo, when we were in that state, he'd run all over the place and do things for her, errands, this, that, this, and that. So we were having a quite nice time, and we were kind of sweet on each other, but we didn't quite spark because she had too much going on. And she goes, I like you because A, I can speak English to you. No one understands what I'm saying. B, you're the most honest person I ever met. And your perspective on things is like, and the lawyer, he's a smart guy. Everybody else is sharp, but you have this way of seeing things that I see it that way too. Right? So we became like comrades. And we tried to be sparky a little bit, but she wasn't really. I think she liked girls. She didn't like me, but in that she liked me. I wasn't a jerky guy. I wasn't always trying to hump her leg. So anyway, and she's pretty powerful. She runs all the lawyer stuff. He runs everything. He's is down with Madame. So anyway, so a month goes by, and we're doing pretty good. We got the road in, we got the thing down, we got the bones of this club, and then he builds a really nice shack, a metal kind of shack, a metal roof, and very and wooden slats and big windows and big doors and big open patio with the roof line going all the way over, right? And that's way over the corner, right? So it's obviously going to stay there, and that's going to be like the facility building. And it's obvious going to be in the back of where the palace is. And it's going to be where all the deliveries get. Like, go to the kitchen. The kitchen's probably going to be facing it, right? But it's our little place. We have a big, beautiful table out there that's made from some of that wood. And he brings in a guy who is like a sawmill guy, right? He's slicing that stuff up, right? So the first stuff he slices up, he makes a beautiful mahogany, big, gigantic table, 20 feet long, 6 feet wide. And we work off that, right? And he brings a billiard table in, right? So we can play billiards. He likes playing billiards. And he builds a really beautiful mahogany bar so we can, have booze there. And every construction office should be like this. And then he has an office off the side that's mine. He's built all these beautiful shelves for books and records and stuff like that. So, and that guy, the sawmill guy, he has a wife, a younger wife, and she speaks English, and she works for the doctor, and so she is now going to be the paperwork person for building that, right? So we're building our team, right? And so, so we start building the thing, and they gave me a VCR, right? And I said, "Can you get me the movie Casablanca?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, no problem." So a couple of days later, he gives me that, and I bring the excavator guy, the sawmill guy. He's got a bunch of woodwrights, and they have a bunch of masons and a bunch of what they call artisans. A crew of about 20, right? Highly skilled in what they do. And so I thought, okay. So, and I play the movie, right? We watch the movie and it's like, right? And I play it again. I played it again. I said, I want this place to be that place, you know. And so they watch it over and over, and they're making drawings of it, and they do a floor plan. And I said, I want 3 floors, right? And the main floor and the kitchen and the service stuff will be behind that, and above it, a large place where catered affairs can be, and above it, I want an apartment for me. And so, yep. So we make those. That takes about 2 weeks. Again, we go up to, and we start going up to Madam's place, and the lawyer's taking pictures, and about at least twice a week, I go up there and either have lunch with her or have a dinner, and she starts introducing me to the people who really run this place, the Nazis, right? The guys who run the hospital, right? And so, and because they're the ones who are funding it, she isn't. And she's, like I said, she's just the poster girl, right? And so we do that, and so it's coming along nicely, right? So you basically, the road comes down here, and this big swooping thing that comes over. You drive, if it's raining, whatever, you don't get wet. You come in these beautiful, it's just 2 steps up to this beautiful entry into the place, right? And you go there, and there is a little bar, a tapas bar, but it's got tapas and booze. And over here, it's like where you leave whatever you get, your coat, your this, your that, whatever, right? So you don't have to be encumbered. Right? You can leave your encumbrance there, right? Then you walk into this, and it opens these beautiful glass doors that open out. And over here is this other gigantic bar with tables everywhere, right? And then it goes over here, this big stage up, and so you can have bands and singers and entertainers there. And in front of that is the dance floor, people who just kind of stand and watch and go like this. And it comes around, and then there are banquets, things like this, places that built-in kind of tables for groups of people, from 5 or 6 people to 20 people, right? And there's 2 mezzanines, so the really fancy people way up top looking down at the show, right? And then that side is totally open and goes out into the beach. And we have a gigantic roof line that comes from the building over this whole thing. And there's tables out there in the sand. It just keeps going. And there's another stage out there, and the roof line kind of goes over. So you can have 2 bands, and they're far enough away, and this building kind of closes off this dance floor and band over here from this one, right? So this is where people want to be wild and crazy on the beach. You dance barefoot on the beach, right? And again, you can get food and booze and everything. It's a big bar there, and and we have tables that go all the way out into the beach to the water, right? And then there's water coming down. We've taken a couple of streams and all the other water that's on that hill and draining it off, and it's coming down as a waterfall right there and going in the ocean, right? And so we have built like a pool there, right? So the waterfall comes down, splashes on you. You can split splash in the pool if you don't want to go in the ocean. And because sometimes that ocean could get a little skanky, right? Because this is a city of about 16,000 people, and they just dump their sewage depending on which way the water went. And the really strange thing, beach, it's like, anyway. And so I would have, whenever that happened, I'd have them rake it up into my, because I had a garden there for vegetables for the restaurant. It was almost sustainable, right? We had goats, and the fishermen would get us lobster. So we had lamb and lobster and every kind of vegetable and baked thing you could imagine, right? So that was basically our thing. So we're building along, and as we're doing this, I am having the lawyers, the girl who was the guy who made the lumber, his young wife I had her pay everyone, not just what Madam was paying her, but I gave everyone who worked on this $5 a day. And the average income of those people in Buzios at the time was like $1 a week. So I was giving them $5 a day. They were like, whoa. So everybody who had anything, who was sharp, really good, wanted to work there. And that's how I got those guys. So this thing was like built. And so we got to get this thing done. And, and it was made out of stone and concrete, right? And it was like close to 20,000 square feet, 3 floors, And so it's, they built it like they built the road. And everyone knew that because when a guy started doing the road thing and I saw them clear it up before they were just going ching, 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 I said, I want everybody here to get paid $5 a day. Road? I said, yep, $5 a day. It's only, 20 of you guys, $5 a day, that's not much. These people are used, they're happy with $1 a day, $1 a week. I said, no. I want to change the complexion of this town. It's this, Anyway, about a month and a half into this, me doing this, and we are like moving quite quickly. We're not halfway done, but we are almost halfway done with all of laying things out and putting the foundations in and putting the pipes in. And these guys dug a ditch all the way up to the other side of the peninsula where the high voltage was, and they brought high voltage down. And I went and got a transformer. So we had like enough electricity to run a city from that place. And they were, because they built everything on that beach, that 15 miles, right? So, I didn't even have to say anything. I would just think, this should be done. That's what it would be done. Instead of like months, like it would take here with heavy equipment, they would do it in a week, right? So, anyway, I remember we were doing all this stuff, and I was paying everybody $5 an hour, and I was having lunch with Madame, and she goes, I hear you're spending my money and paying these people $5 an hour. We normally pay them $1 a week. Listen, you're changing everything here, right? You want it done right. I'm getting the best people you got here. They would have done it for $1, yes, but they're going to change. They're going to have money. They're now going to buy stuff. And you're going to get half of what they buy. She's like, And I've been watching everybody here. This is like garden paradise, but there is underlying, I hate these people who run my life. Now they don't hate you. Now, Madame, when they speak of the Madame, they do it with glee and happiness for you, and not like, oh, I want her to die. And she's going, I said, you have control because of the Nazis, which I haven't met yet. She was, oh, by the way, they want to meet you. I said, okay. And the police chief, right? And that's not a way to run it. You should have these people at your back, not in front of you with pitchforks. And so she goes, that makes sense. And I go, how much more money is that? What is it? It's like not even what you spend on toothpicks. Come on. So she goes, no one ever talks to me this way. I like it when you talk to me. I said, I do it with respect. How are we doing for electricity here? Okay. Yeah, I'm going to bail in about 20 minutes. So, we move right along. And again, we're going to reel a good deal and getting all the, equipment for, we're going to stop at the head legal place in Rio, and there's some papers I want you to sign. I said, me signing? I thought it was a diplomat. What do I have to sign? He goes, well, we're going to put some of the nomenclature of who owns this place in your name. It's what? Madame? He says, well, it's a little, don't worry about it. You'll be taken care of. No problem. Okay, whatever. So he goes, but when we go into this part of town, do not, if something happens, do not overreact. Right? And I go, okay. And Ricardo, tell me if you think this is righteous. So we pull in front of like, the city hall or wherever the big legal thing is in Rio, and we pull in, and we're in this, Mercedes limo that's like a tank, and we kind of pull in, and there are all these kids out in the street, and they are like not letting people park, right? Because they want some money, right? So this guy pulls, the lawyer's tattoo, pulls in, and this guy would, from his waist up, he looked like a chauffeur. I mean, meticulous, right? From his waist down, he had straggly shorts that looked like he'd been wearing for the last 20 years, and bare feet and spindly legs. And he wore like sunglasses, like welder's glasses. So anyway, we start to pull in to where we, and these kids are like, right, and this guy's starting to slowly roll over them. The kids are getting back, and all of a sudden I hear bang, 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 and all of a sudden I look at the window, and there's this little kid, and his brains explode on the window of the Mercedes. And this policeman was, at the door. He just came down with his, automatic pistol, and just shot about 8 kids in the head. Just bang, bang, and just left them there. The kids scattered like cockroaches. And we pulled in, and the military guard was around the car, and we were escorted up the steps into the place. Met this guy who was in charge. He had a nice little, cup of Caprina for us and a cup of coffee. We talked a little bit, and he was going, I really want to see this club. It's really amazing, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, here's the paperwork. Just sign here. Sign here. Sign. Good doctor. And the lawyer said, sign your name as the doctor. I said, okay. I mean, that's how they knew me. That's all they called me, yes. Abogado, exactly. So Ricardo just told us that, this is how it works, right? This is how it, and I'm sure, Ricardo, it's even worse today, right? It's like, that was the everyday thing, but everyone kind of rolled with it. I bet you Brazil must be a lot more, after Bolsonaro, Brazil must be like going off the cliff. So anyway, I basically signed all that stuff, and then we went shopping. Went and saw, stuff for the kitchen and other stuff like sound system and this system and that. And we bought a bunch of stuff and had it shipped. We didn't take anything, and we got back in the car. We got back by night, and I slept at the office, and then it took us another 3 months to get to the point where we had the grand opening. And we had the grand opening, and it all went well. And I was dressed, I was known, it was called Rick's. I don't know what they call it now, but it was called Rick's. And, or Casablanca. No, I think it was called, either Casablanca or Rick's. I'm not quite sure. But I was Dr. Rick. That's, how everyone called Dr. Rick. And they would say it in English, not in Portuguese, right? So it's a 1 hour, 9 minutes. There's 3 of you watching. How much juice is left? Okay, I think I'm going to go because I have things to do. And I'll pick up where I left off. The opening night, right? Okay, so I love you guys. And this is the kind of stuff. I'll see if I can find some pictures. I know I have them someplace. So anyway, I'll talk to you guys later.